Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, February 28th, 2022, is from the Gospel of John, chapter 18, verses 15 through 27. I'm going to read them all first and then comment. Verse 15 and following. Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did other disciples. Since that disciple was known to the high priest, he entered with Jesus into the courtyard of the high priest. But Peter stood outside at the door. So the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to the servant girl who kept watch at the door and brought Peter in. The servant girl at the door said to Peter, "You also are not one of these man's disciples, are you?" He said, "I am not." Now the servant and the officers had made a charcoal fire because it was cold, and they were standing and warming themselves. Peter also was with them, standing and warming himself. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself, so they said to him, "You also are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." And one of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Peter again denied it, and at once a rooster crowed. Poor Peter. In chapter 13, he tells Jesus that he would die for him. Peter is so sure of himself and his faith in Jesus that his statement becomes a little boast of his loyalty to his master. No matter the hardship, Peter believes he will stand firmly with Jesus to face whatever the adversity is, even if it means his death. I think Peter has deluded himself into a false sense of security, believing that the worst Jesus and his disciples will face in terms of punishment would be jail time, and that Jesus really is, and that if Jesus really is who he says he is, the Son of God, well then, would God let his own son be killed? Of course not, Peter thinks. So without any real fear of execution, Peter boasts of his great faith and loyalty to Jesus. And I think we're a lot like that. I think a lot of times we downplay the danger we might be in, or we fail to recognize the danger we're in because we don't want to see it. Jesus responds to Peter's boast, telling him instead that he, Peter, will deny him not once, not twice, but 3 times. And here we have in our text this day those denials. What Jesus told him was true. Jesus knew Peter better than Peter knew himself. Jesus knew that fear would prevent Peter from living out his noble boast. And this is true for us too. Jesus knows us better than we know ourselves. We are just as good at deluding ourselves as Peter was in our devotion today. We may believe that we have a rock-solid faith, and when the chips are down, we would never deny Jesus. But we are, once more, more like Peter than we can imagine. Fear is a compelling force in this world, and the fear of dying can influence even the strongest person's will. Besides, we have denied Jesus on numerous occasions when our life wasn't being threatened. You know that's true, don't you? You can remember moments when you played down your faith or failed to identify yourself as a Christian to others, a time when you failed to share the gospel with others because you were afraid of sharing your faith with them, especially family members or co-workers, because, religion is a private matter, and you didn't want to be ostracized. You didn't want to be made fun of. You didn't want to get in trouble at work, or with family at the holidays. So how can we really say that we would not betray or deny Jesus when push comes to shove, when we're already guilty of it and haven't even really been pushed? But take heart. Jesus knows us very well. He knows we will and already have betrayed him and denied him. He knew it was coming. And yet, like Peter, Jesus forgives us for our betrayal and denials. He loves us, and he forgives us and still offers us new life in him. Yes, Jesus still went to the cross and died for us, knowing we would betray him, we would deny him. Jesus, having forgiven Peter, turns around and gives Peter the keys to his church for its growth, for its operations, for its management, for its spread. Imagine if Jesus will do that for Peter, who denied him. Just what might he do for you? Go in peace, serve the Lord.